Hey, it's Jazz here from thebassmastermind.com, and today I'm really excited for you to watch this video because what you're about to watch is a 7-day technique challenge, and this is specifically designed for bass guitarists. So this is actually a full course that used to be inside thebassmastermind.com. Now, this course is perfect for you if you're a beginner bassist looking to improve your technique so you can play your favorite songs or favorite bass lines on the bass guitar, or if you're an intermediate bass player and you're looking to brush up on your skills and develop more, say, finger independence and more speed on the bass guitar. So in the past, this course has actually sold for $97, but as we're coming up to Christmas, I'm going to give you all 7 videos, the whole course, for free on this YouTube channel. You can think of this as your 2021 Christmas present from me. And now all I ask in return is that you subscribe to this channel and then make sure your notifications are turned on, as I'll be releasing a lot more exciting things like this in the future. And of course, if I post any more courses, I don't want you to miss out. So make sure to watch the videos in order from day 1 to day 7. And when you watch this course, in the videos, I'll actually be talking about the 7-day technique challenge workbook. This is a PDF, and inside the workbook PDF, there is a place that you can make notes, but more importantly, there is a technique checklist which summarizes the entire course in just 3 pages. So you can download and print off this checklist as a PDF and then maybe put it on your wall or something and then refer back to it in the future. The workbook is completely free, and it's actually inside my free Facebook group for bass players. So to get access to the technique checklist and workbook, and also there's some other free courses on this Facebook group, just like this one, click the link below to join the Facebook group, and you can become part of the Bassmaster community. In this community, there are free bass lessons, courses, transcriptions, PDFs, tabs, drum loops, and obviously a community of like-minded bass players from around the world. And this group is a perfect place to ask questions if you ever feel stuck in your bass playing. So before you watch today's lesson, click the link below to become part of the Bassmaster community so you can download the workbook and the technique checklist. And then you can come back to this video. So with all of that being said, let's jump into today's lesson. All right, so welcome back to day 5. Today's lesson is called the 2 types of fretting hand techniques that cover 90% of all bass playing. And today we're going to cover how to play a C major scale. We're going to look at an exercise that I learned from Nathan East. Nathan East is a world-renowned session musician, bass player, just an awesome guy. You can go and check him out if you don't know who Nathan East is, and how to develop your finger independence as well. So finger independence regarding the fretting hand. We're going to look at how we can really start getting around the neck. So when I look at the fretting hand here, there are really 2 types of fretting hand techniques I use for 90% of the bass playing. Obviously, there's going to be exceptions to this rule, but I think these 2 techniques are really going to help you. 2 techniques here you can see on the screen is the Simandl technique. So we're going to play 3rd fret on the A string with our first finger, and then if we wanted to go, so just going like 2 frets up, so 1, 2, 3, and if we wanted to play that with the Simandl technique, what we would do is play with our first finger, our 2nd finger, and our 4th finger. So we're kind of avoiding that 3rd finger. And that really comes back to what I was talking about yesterday, which was using that 3rd finger to back up the 4th finger, because the pinky is a little bit weak, that 4th finger here. So we're really, with this technique, we're really helping out the pinky there. I'm going to show you some examples, some bassline examples that use both techniques as well. And then the second type of technique is the 1 finger per fret system. And it's fairly simple. It's just assigning a finger to each fret. So we're doing the same thing. So we're going, if you're doing a 1 finger per fret system, you assign 1 finger to each fret. So let's assign the 1st finger to that note, 2nd finger this note, 3rd finger to this note. Or you can go 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 1, 2, 3. So you're probably wondering, Jazz, that's awesome, that's great, but when do I use a Simandl technique and when do I use the 1 finger per fret system? Like what context do I use them in? What bass lines? Well, here's what I would be thinking about. So with regards to the Simandl technique, which is the 1, 2, 4. So you can see all of this, I'm using the Simandl technique. So I generally use the Simandl technique for bass lines that are lower down the end of the fingerboard. Something like that, I would use the Simandl technique. Some examples. So Lady Marmalade, the bass line to the original bass line to Lady Marmalade, which I think is in G minor. So I think this is the original key. I'm using the 1 and 4 primarily, and then that second finger to sometimes help out as well. But the Lady Marmalade sounds like this. So 3, 4. And then Another One Bites the Dust, which you might have learned, especially if you're just starting out. So you can see here, I've got 4, 1. This is the fingering in the fretting hand. So 4, 1, and then open string. So I would consider that the Simandl technique. Or if I'm playing something like Sunshine of Your Love, I would be using the Simandl technique. This is actually a great one to demonstrate this. So 3, 4. So the fingering for that is 4, 1, and then down to the 4, 2, 1. I mean, don't worry about playing these bass lines. I know some of them are a little bit more tricky. But generally, yeah, for those types of bass lines where it's more boxy, there you go, that was like a mashup, a mini mashup. For those kind of bass lines, yeah, definitely use more of the Simandl technique. And just bear in mind, when you use the Simandl technique, you're going to be doing more position shifting, which means you're going to be moving across the neck, so that's like a position shift there. So your position shifting has to be really solid when you use the Simandl technique, and a great exercise to practice your position shifting is just to take the 5th fret on the G string, play it with your 4th finger, and then you're going to shift and play the same note but with your 1st finger. And the idea is you want to shift really quickly without fret buzz and also without having a gap in between the note. So your position shifts have to be nice and quick. Alright, so the 1 finger per fret system. So you're going to need more finger independence for this, which means we're going to have to work on some exercises that really help strengthen the finger independence. Some bass lines that use more of a 1 finger per fret, or I would use more of a 1 finger per fret. So we have December 63. So you can see here, I'm just assigning a finger to each fret. And then also, I Want You Back. This one is kind of a little bit of a mixture, and this is the thing, right? So it's not like one bass line is just going to be 1 finger per fret and one bass line is going to be Simandl. You'll kind of be mixing them up. But a great way to practice the 1 finger per fret is just with the C major scale. So let's learn our C major scale. So all you do is assign 1 finger to each fret. So we've got the 3rd fret of the A string, and we're going to play that with our 2nd finger. So I'm playing just behind the fret here, 2nd finger. Then we're going to go 4th finger on the 5th fret, and then we're going to go 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the D string. So yeah, make sure you don't get that buzz. And then 2nd finger, 4th finger, 1st finger on the G string, 2nd fret, 3rd finger, and this is a little bit tricky, so 3rd finger, 4th finger. So if you just assign a finger to each fret, we have 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. And then just make sure you're alternating in the plucking hand. Index, middle, index, middle, index, middle. And then you can go back down. So 4, 3, 1, 4, 3, 1, 4, 2. And then, yeah, you see that pinky there? If that flies too far off, that's the flying finger thing. If you see your pinky kind of flying off when you're trying to do this exercise, just kind of bear that in mind. But yeah, that is a C major scale. And we're using 1 finger per fret for that C major scale. So when it comes to avoiding that pinky issue and the flying fingers, this exercise is very, very common among bass players and guitar players, but I first heard about it from a Nathan East interview. And it was kind of how he warmed up for years and years. You can see Nathan East here on the screen. Yeah, a lot of people say this is an unmusical exercise, and that is true. But the idea is that you practice unmusical things and then you apply it to a musical context. If you rush to try and just quickly play in a musical context, especially if you're playing in time, but you're actually working on a technique, sometimes that doesn't really help. So I'm a fan of this exercise, but just don't sit there like all day just practicing this one exercise. Yeah, it's not going to help you musically, but it will help, especially if you're just getting started. It will help just with that finger independence, and especially at strengthening the pinky and the third finger. So essentially the exercise is just working on that finger independence. So what we're going to do is we're going to play first fret with our first finger. We're going to assign 1 finger per fret, second finger on the second fret, third finger on the third fret, and then fourth finger on the fourth fret. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll do it on the next string. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see my hand as I do it is slightly moving. I'm not moving like this or anything, but you can see I haven't got the biggest hands in the world. So they're slightly moving. And as I'm doing this, remember from earlier, I'm using my thumb as like a pivot point as well. Now, the cool thing about this exercise is that there really is infinite combinations. So what I mean by that is like we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You could also go 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. Or one of my favorites is 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4. And this is really going to sort out that fretting hand finger independence. So if you want to play all over the neck and play any of those bass lines I covered earlier, then this exercise is going to become really helpful. So it's one of those things that I kind of practice for, I don't know, a minute or two just before I, just getting warmed up before I play. So this kind of leads me nicely onto your Bassmaster mission for today. So today your Bassmaster mission is to practice all the combinations of the flying fingers exercise. So in your workbook that you downloaded from day one, you'll find all the different kind of combinations as far as like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4. All the combinations and you can go through there. I would suggest just going through all of them and then circling the ones that you find difficult, because obviously if you can play the ones that you find easy, like I never really practice 1, 2, 3, 4 because I find that one kind of easy. Where I really struggle, and I think most people struggle, is the third is that third and fourth finger. So just go through and circle the ones, maybe circle 10 or something of the combinations that you find particularly tricky, and then work on those ones. So we want to be working on our weaknesses instead of working on things that we can already do fairly well. Go and practice the flying fingers exercise and circle the different combinations that you find particularly difficult, and I will see you in tomorrow's lesson. So I hope you enjoyed that lesson, and before you go, just make sure to click the link below to join my free Facebook group for bass players, where you can download the Technique Challenge workbook and technique checklist, just so you can get the most out of this course. In the Bassmaster community, there are loads of free bass lessons, courses, transcriptions, PDFs, tabs, drum loops, and obviously the community of like-minded bass players from around the world. And if you click here, it will take you to the next lesson in this series.